takes it a minute to load. So, okay. So here we go. We're going to be talking about social media today. Again, I have a lot of slides. If you want these at the end, just send me an email and I'll email them over to you. We're going to go over quite a few things, including what social media is, how different age groups use social media, and what that means to marketing. And then we're going to take a look at some of those social media platforms specifically, and then I'm going to give you recommendations on all of those platforms. But I'm going to tell you, this class is super overwhelming. By no means am I saying that when we leave here you should be an expert at any of these. That is not the goal. The goal is to get a very big overview. I'm going to start teaching 1-hour segments on these classes starting next week. I'll go over that later too. If you have questions, feel free to use the chat bar as well. I'll do my very best to keep my eye on that. I'm gonna see if I can have it open really quick before I start. That way I can jump on it. Okay, so let's get started. I was gonna use my clicker, but it's not gonna work. Okay, so what is social media? Social media is any website where people can create and share on a platform. So I think most of you think of things like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of those, but some surprising social media platforms: Amazon, Apple, and Zillow. Why are they considered social media platforms? Because you can actually comment on their boards. So you can leave reviews that people can respond to those reviews. You can go into Zillow and you can claim your house. That makes those places a social network site. I want to go over some statistics about social media. For context in regards to social media, and the statistics I'm going to give you, you need to know that there are 7.8 billion people in the world, and that our median age in the world right now is at 30.9. A lot of younger people in the world. There are 4.5 billion internet users. That's half of the population. And 3.4 are active social users. So we're talking people who are hopping on social media consistently. That's a big number. Social media continues to grow about 9% every year. That number hasn't changed, those 9%. So I want to talk a little bit about the different generations. I don't spend a lot of time on the builders. So I do spend some time on the rest of them. Let's just take a really quick look at what these different generations have seen in their lifetime. So builders were born at a time where vaccines were invented. And hold on one sec, I've got to. Is everybody else having a hard time with my audio? I'm getting a message the audio is a struggle. Yes, having a hard time with audio. It's spotty. Shoot, that's going to be a difficult thing to overcome. Let me get. So I'm in my best Wi-Fi place of the office, so I can understand that I can hear you, but it's kind of choppy. I think what we're going to do is keep our fingers crossed that you guys are grabbing enough of it. I apologize for that, and hopefully it will just continue to get stronger as it goes on. Okay, so builders have been around when vaccines were created. Baby boomers, they have known the personal computer. Generation X, I'm Gen Xer, mobile phones became a thing. The Y generation, which is also the millennials that you hear so much about, they are social everything. They haven't known life without Google or Facebook. Generation Z, they are also known as the I generation. They have known nothing but technology. So they were born with a device. And then the current generation, up to 9 years old, is Generation Alpha. These babies, by the time they're 1 year old, have been exposed to tablets and things like that that, you know, we couldn't have imagined in our day. So let's talk about the different generations and what platforms they use, and some understanding of marketing comes from understanding these generations and their buying and their consuming habits. So 74.1 million baby boomers. These are ranging in ages of 56 to 74. some stats about baby boomers, and I'm definitely not going to read all of these, but I am going to talk about a couple of them. 60% lost value investments because of an economic crisis. So this is pre-COVID. We don't know at this point kind of what the ramifications of the COVID crisis are going to cause on each one of these generations, since it's still rolling out. This generation spends 27 hours online each week, and they tend to spend more hours online than those between the ages of 16 and 34, which I find to be insane. They are the largest population of home sellers, not surprising. So here's one of the interactive parts. What is the most popular platform of social media for baby boomers? Go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself. Ooh, Stephanie.
Okay, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna the Facebook.
Good, Facebook. Matea, Bill, Shayna all said Facebook, and the answer is Facebook. Yes. So 68% of these users of this demographic use Facebook. Anytime you see a statistic in green, that means from the first time I ever did this series up until today, it's gone up or down. Red being down, up being green. You will not see any red anywhere. The usage amongst everything I've ever looked at is going up. So this site, these people tend to use Facebook as their platform. Gen X, 45 million people between the ages of 39 and 55 years old. What's interesting about the Gen X population is that they are the smallest demographic in the generations. So they're often forgot about in the media, but they have a huge buying power. These people have not had a lot of confidence in Social Security taking care of them when they're at the end of their work time. So they tend to be a little bit more conscious in saving. 82% of them are homeowners with an average value of 283. That obviously is a national average, so keep that in mind. Another really interesting thing about this demographic is they tend to be the most brand loyal. So when they find a brand that they love, they tend to stick with that brand. What is the most popular platform for this generation? Anybody? Bueller? I've got on here a Facebook, the gram, baby. Facebook, Instagram. Actually, it's Facebook. 95% of this generation use Facebook. It's insane to me. And this generation has $200 billion in buying power. So keep that in mind when you are talking about marketing to this generation. Okay, the next one, millennials. We all hear about millennials. Here's what's crazy about the demographics of millennials is that there's tons of different ranges. So if you look down here, it says like mobilize.org and MetLife. Everybody has a different start and end point to when the millennial statistics are going to be. So I tend to use the most widely renowned one, which is the US Census Bureau. So these people are 24 to 38 years old, 75 to 81 million millennials. Here's some things to know about millennials. They are very interested in their financial future, but have a ton of debt. $1.5 trillion in student debt, about $30,000 per person in student debt. On average, they only have about $8,000 in net worth. And they spend between 10 and 20 hours online every day. That does not mean social media, just online. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means. Obviously, if you dealt with millennials or Generation Y, you know that email and text is their preferred way of communication. These guys do have a harder time with long-term employment. It is now seen that employment averages are between 3 and 5 years at one specific location, whereas generations before really found value in staying with a specific company for a long period of time. So that's an interesting statistic. What is their platform of choice? Instagram. Anybody else? Instagram or Twitter, YouTube maybe. Okay, there's Facebook. 77% of this demographic uses Facebook. What's interesting is that this group will tell you that Facebook is dying, yet they continue to cling on to this as old as they get older in their millennial years. They end up adopting Facebook quicker. So it's kind of interesting. And also one thing that's really interesting is this demographic tends to use Facebook Messenger over text message. And one reason for that is because sometimes iPhones and Androids don't communicate well, but there's more consistency through Facebook Messenger, which is a really interesting statistic. So I've got somebody in the background who's not muted. Can you check your mute for me?
In my driveway. Okay.
I found somebody. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next is the Generation Z, or the iGen. 77 million in this age demographic between 9 and 23 years old. Some interesting information about them. These guys don't know life without a smartphone. Most of them had Instagram accounts by the time they started high school. You've got about 8 seconds to capture their attention. I totally think this is true. And what's really interesting is when you talk to the iGen, they will say that their biggest goals are having a successful career at 69%, buying home 53%, and getting married is only at 39%, where if you were to look at the baby boomers, that getting married, these statistics would have almost been flipped. So it's interesting. What is their platform of choice? TikTok. Somebody said TikTok. IG, being Instagram. The gram, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. Here it is, YouTube. 95% of Gen Z watch YouTube. 50% say they can't live without it. Only 36% of this group has Facebook. So one thing about this group that I think is really interesting is that TikTok was born out of this generation, and we'll talk about TikTok, but partly the reason why TikTok's been so successful and why I believe that there will be other social platforms that pop up is that they are chasing a platform that their parents and grandparents are not on. And so what happens is they adopt a platform, and quickly that platform starts to be utilized by a generation they're not interested in being a part of, or it becomes commercialized. They're not looking to be sold to on some of their platforms, and that's now happening on IG and Snapchat and some of the other platforms we're going to look at. So one thing that I feel like I can say here is that I am not an expert at social media, but I have baby boomer parents. I am a Gen X. I have a millennial child, and I also have a Gen Z child. So I'm lucky enough to have this huge span over me. So I kind of feel like I have some expertise in that level. I do talk a lot with both my Gen Z and my millennial about social media. So now that we've covered that part, let's talk about what is SEO and why do we care what SEO is. So some of you probably heard about search engine optimization. I'm going to go through these next slides really quickly. SEO is extremely important. It's how we are found on the internet, and it makes us most visible, which ultimately should create sales. If we increase our ranking on the internet, we get organic traffic, which should lead to calls and web forms and increased sales in hopes. SEO is affected by everything we do from our website, which is why we promote so heavily that you stay current on your Zap. When you just set up your Zap and leave it, that's not gaining SEO. What is gaining SEO? Doing blog postings, having your client testimonials, and doing local insights. If you don't know what any of those things are, you should reach out to Stephanie and she can talk to you about those. Let's talk about Google stats really quick. Google processes 82,000 searches per second on any given day. Again, remember, green means these numbers are going up since the last time I taught this class. That equals 2 trillion searches per year. 84% of the internet usage accesses Google 3 times a day. And every day, 15% of the queries that are asked have never been asked before. What's interesting is that statistic has not changed. So that means that people are asking questions in a new and unique way. 15% of those 82,000 searches in a second or in a day. Google signature email, so Gmail is what I'm talking about, has 27% of the share of the global internet mail market, and 63% of searches now come from a mobile device. biggest stat of all about Google and why I'm telling you all of this. 92.18% of all internet searches are carried out by Google. Other search engines that you might know of, Bing, Yahoo has one, back in the day, AOL, but 92% of searches start on Google. What that means is we want to make Google happy. Google needs to be happy with who we are as a business owner, and we want to do everything we can to make them happy, because when they're happy, our SEO goes up. So one of the key things you can do to make them happy is have a Google My Business page. Have it, make sure it's accurate, and we're going to do a class on this and talk about how you can continually update your Google page to generate business. It is free and easy to do, and the way to find it is to go to Google and write Google My Business. Okay, before we jump into all of the platforms, are there any questions? I know I went really fast, but I've got very limited time to cover a lot of data. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to no chats, no questions. Here we go. So what I want to do now is talk about understanding the use of social media channels. There are so many social media channels. When I first started this class, I used to give a quiz at the very beginning and ask you how many you knew. Now, we wouldn't even have time to do that. There's just so many, and they're coming out in droves. But we are going to talk about most of the ones that are on here. I prioritized this to the ones that will have some bonus for those of you who want to stay, depending on how much time. So we're going to talk about the major players. Reddit may not be a major player in your mind, but you definitely should know about what Reddit is. It is an American social news website where people can actually have discussions about news. What's interesting is they have had growth in the last year. They're at 430 million users. It looks like this. Why it's different than something like a Facebook or things like that is that when somebody posts something, you can rank it up or you can rank it down. And based on the ranking is where it will be seen. Whereas a platform like Facebook, they get to decide the algorithm for you. Reddit is decided by readers. What's really interesting is that a lot of millennials will look at Reddit for a news source. Super interesting. So right here, you'll see this is all real estate news, and you can also see how many comments are on these. It's kind of an insane place. I personally am not a huge fan of Reddit. I find it to be very clunky and a little bit hard to navigate, and it moves really fast, which tells you that I am not a iGen. It moves too fast for me. So if this is a place that you are a part of or want to be a part of, the key to this whole platform is making sure that you are actively participating and engaging. That's all I'm going to say about Reddit. We are going to talk really quickly about Zillow. Zillow, regardless of how you feel about Zillow, consumers feel Zillow has some content and they appreciate it. 420 million monthly homes are viewed. They have 2.4 million Facebook followers, and 80 million homes have been updated by a user. That means they've gone in and claimed their home and potentially made updates to what Zillow has as far as the listing. For a perfect example, I live in a 3-bedroom house. However, I have a very large bonus room. It does not have a closet. It's technically not a bedroom. But if I wanted, I can go into Zillow and now tell them I have a 4-bedroom home, which is not true. This is what we need to educate our consumers about. That's why those valuations get skewed all the time. Question what I just received is, would you suggest to claim your house? Yeah, I do think you should claim your house. And I would also put a watch on your house so that you can see what the Zestimate is. I find it really interesting as a real estate agent when they send me my Zestimate to see if I really think that that's accurate or not. I think as a real estate consumer or an agent, it's really important to do this. It will kind of give you an idea of what consumers are seeing. Now, if you claim your house and you put your phone number on there, or some contact information, you can expect that you might get hit by some agents. If you put make me move price on your house, you're probably going to get hit by agents. I will also say I teach that. So keep that in mind when you do a make me move. That's not for today's class, but okay, good question. Zillow owns Trulia. Not sure if you knew that, but if you create a Zillow account, you will also automatically have a Trulia account. And if you don't have a Zillow account, you better do this quickly. So there's a button up at the top right-hand corner that says join. Once you've joined, it will say Agent Hub. When you go in there, there's a button that says edit profile. And then you will see here you have a bio and things like that. But on the right-hand side, it will tell you how accurate or how good your Zillow profile is. And so you can link past sales on here, connect your listings, get past reviews. You should have seen Matea just worked on a big project for us where she went in and Zillow audited everybody and then sent a little report card individually. Those were not a blast spam to everybody. Those were individualized for you. So Zillow is really important because consumers are there so often. Premier Agent is evolving. I will say this about Premier Agent. This is not in any way, shape, or form a class to talk about if you should or shouldn't list on Zillow. They're extremely expensive still for their return on investment. However, they are changing the way the platform is allowing people to access it in the sense that if you are an agent with a low ranking, a low rating score, and they don't have, they won't let you actually go buy their leads. Now, that's all pre-COVID. So now I know they are calling people and saying, I've got availability, because agents dropped them because of their expense and saw that potentially if they needed to ride this out, they needed to cut what they were spending. So this currently might not be the case in the COVID situation, but as agents go back to the platform, your ranking, that 4-star, 5-star ranking is going to become very important. And the reason why is because Zillow has found that consumers don't separate when they find an agent from Zillow and what firm they're with. They aren't looking at the customer service level any differently. They look at it as a reflection of Zillow. So they want the best agent representing their brand. So my recommendation for Zillow, create your Zillow agent profile, make sure you're as detailed and accurate as possible. Make sure you have sales and reviews on there, and make sure to update your profile regularly. Consider Premier Agent. It's really expensive, and you can talk to me offline about that if you want to. Whew, any questions? Kelly Big says, thank you, Matea, for Zillow reviews. Matea is working on a new project. You'll be hearing from her one by one. She's going down the line, touching base with everybody to help with your social and Zillow and all of that good stuff. All right, let's talk about Yelp. Too fast, sorry. So I'm sure most of you know of Yelp, and maybe you've used Yelp when you're looking at staying at a place, a hotel, a restaurant, things like that. 178 million monthly views, 184 million Yelp reviews currently posted. As a real estate agent, you can go in and sponsor. So when you go to Yelp and you look up real estate agent in Snohomish, hoping that you see yourself there, what you're going to see is the very first list of people are sponsored agents. So Lamb Real Estate here and Roy from Realty One, these guys are paying Yelp to be at top of the page. What's really interesting is from the last time I did this class to now, there used to be 2 agent sponsors in an area. Now I'm seeing 6 or 7. And the reason why is because Yelp is fairly inexpensive to advertise on. What's really cool though is this new verified license button, which they didn't have before. I've seen some Yelp people put in posts right now that say available virtually, and I think that's very clever. And if you create your listing, which you can do by going to biz.yelp.com, it's for free. I would put on there that you're available virtually. It's a great place to capture some leads. They also have some upgraded advertising that can be done. These are not super expensive, like I said, and you can find that very easily on their site. So create your business page, ask for reviews. I say here, I know, but the reviews are key. And so if you can ask people to get those reviews for you, prioritize them a bit, right? So Zillow's really, really important, probably number 1. We're going to talk about Facebook business and reviews there, things like that. Be an active and friendly reviewer. So you should review restaurants, hotels, and vendors. I guarantee you that restaurants and hotels would really appreciate your reviews right now. Just like you would appreciate reviews, they appreciate them. I do have a fairly active Yelp. I haven't posted on there in quite a while, but I was doing a lot on Yelp and gaining a lot of followers very quickly, because I tend to give very honest reviews, and if it's going to be under 3 stars, I don't do it. So I just feel like I'm putting out the karma there, and so I want to make sure that I'm putting out positive karma, but I will put out some real stuff. Like once I stayed at a hotel and there was one outlet, and it wasn't even in the bathroom. So I, as a girl, needed to blow dry my hair, and I had to unplug the microwave in order to do it. So I took pictures of that and posted, hey, FYI. A lot of followers from that review specifically. Any questions before I move on? We're going to get to the big players in a minute. Anybody here using Tumblr or know anything about Tumblr? Probably not. So I have it on here because my Gen Y kid is on Tumblr. 472 million blogs. I'm going to show you what this looks like. It is it's a micro blogging site. So it looks like this. This is the real estate. Shayna says that she used to have it when she was in middle school. So this is real estate. When you look up real estate, what you find, Matea, as well. I'm actually surprised. Last time I checked, there were way less real estate postings than there are now. I don't think these are super duper active, but the reality is that you can create a blog here and you could potentially drive traffic to it. And there's ways that you could do that. So when you're on Tumblr, this is what you can do. Just last week, my youngest said to me, "Oh, I looked up that answer on Tumblr," and I was like, "You're getting your news from Tumblr? Oh, okay." So, just keep in mind that there's a whole generations out there that this is where they get their information, is places like this. So my recommendation, this is a very small number of them using it, but this is what it looks like once you go into his blog. He's in Canada, I believe, and he put all of his listings on there, some DIY stuff, things like that. My recommendation is just to keep your eye on the platform. I don't think it's going to take off, or I think it will be a very slow incline. But if you're a super active social media user right now, this might be something that you could potentially take advantage of. You could be a first adopter on the real estate side, but again, I'm not really sure that's going to go too many places. How many of you know what this logo is? I know that some of you know what this logo is. Snappy. Bill is Snappy. Snapchat. Anybody using Snapchat? Unmute and nope. I used to, not anymore. I do. Good. Okay, so let's talk about Snapchat really quick. Snapchat was created back in I guess it was before 2016, I think around 13, 14. And it is a instant message platform that once time is expired, the photo goes away. I will tell you, as a parent, I thought this sounds like trouble. I can't even imagine why this is a good idea ever. So you can send a message over to somebody, they get a photo, and then it goes away. There are 360 million monthly users and 3 billion snaps per day. That's an insane number. It's an insane number. It is currently under contract with Google. It's the largest Google contract. It's a 5-year contract for $2 billion. They have 3 years remaining on that contract. And so I have a question for all of you on Snapchat. How long would it take you to view all the snaps that were shared in the last hour? 70. It isn't used for dirty stuff. Yeah, I could tell you otherwise. Anybody know how long would it take you to view all of the snaps that were taken in the last hour?
2 days.
2 days. Okay. Anybody else have a guess? 1 day, Stephanie says. It would take you 10 years. 10 years to view 1 hour's worth of content. 10 years. So it is a very fast-moving site. Here's some recommendations about Snapchat. Snapchat's all about the numbers. You've got to have a big following if you are going to be trying to use this for marketing. However, marketing through Snapchat should be very subtle. There's quite a few ways to do marketing through the, Snapchat, but it isn't well received from the consumer side. So you have to keep that in mind. Something that I will say is that it's very difficult for me to show you any examples of Snapchat being used in real estate because the images go away. So if you are seriously thinking about adopting Snapchat in real estate, there's some YouTubers out there that will give you some really good tips on what to do. At the end of this, I'm going to then prioritize all this data into what I think is priority. So remember, I'm giving you a large information dump right now, and then we're going to kind of talk about next steps. So we're not trying to eat the elephant, okay? Who knows what this one is? You should all know what this one is. I've got two who said YouTube. Does anybody disagree? Okay, it's YouTube. So YouTube has 2 billion monthly active users. Please read that again, 2 billion monthly active users. 95% of the global internet population watches YouTube. Their average session is 40 minutes a day. This is the most amazing statistic. That's up 50% year over year. It's insane. This is another really interesting thing. YouTube is owned by Google. Google purchased them in 2006 for $1.65 billion. And here's a question for you. When was the first YouTube video created? Ooh, Shayna knows stats. Shayna says 2005. It was. Shayna, do you know what the first video was? No. The first video was of the San Diego Zoo. So close. You said a cat maybe, or shark video, Stephanie said. It was the San Diego Zoo in 2005. So what's so interesting to me about that is Google saw, holy cow, this is going to be huge. And a year after its release, bought it for $1.65 billion. So, okay, that is a little bit about YouTube. Let's talk a little bit more about it. I am throwing up these, again, if you want these slides, send me a message. These are some real estate YouTubers. So we've got coaches like Mike Ferry. We also have people who, Lorda is an agent and she does all kinds of short videos. She's got a ton of followers, I think something like 13,000. And then there's even more coaches here. And then there's people who do like live for sale by owner scripts and cold calling and things like that on their YouTube videos, and they're constantly updating their information. Easy Agent Pro is a product that you can buy, but they put out some really great content. Time for Investing is all about real estate and an investment side of it. So some really great YouTubers that you could follow. This is Joni in our office. Joni had a YouTube channel. Joni last year won the Innovation Award. And the reason why she won the Innovation Award is because she's always 5 steps ahead of whatever's going on. She just truly is. So when you see this and it says 1 year ago, this channel actually was from 3 years ago. I took this a while ago, 2 years ago actually. When I first found this video and her channel and I was watching these, I was like, holy cow, you were doing this stuff well before anybody. Joni, why did you stop? And she said, because the market moves so fast, I could put a sign up in front of a house before it sold. There was no reason to do these promo videos at that point. So Joni even went as far as buying her own drone to do some aerial looks at Mukilteo and things like that. She just did a great job. Carrie Schertzinger had a goal in 2020 to do YouTube, and she now just did her 3rd video, brand new to YouTube, and is killing it. She's our agent, so take a look at what she's doing. And then I want to give you a quick preview. Stephanie, I'm going to ask you, send me a message real fast if this video doesn't pull up on your screen, but it should. I want you to see this YouTuber, and I'm not going to show you the whole video, just a piece of it. And it's going to take it a minute to spool. Sorry, I was just giving me a break to take water or something.
Hey everyone, it's Jessica Edwards in Wilmington, North Carolina. Today I want to talk about questions you should ask when buying a home. And we get asked all kinds of questions all the time from our buyers. There are a few questions that we hear over and over and over. And
that's all I want to show you. And here's what I want to say. 15,000 views on this. She is still a very active YouTuber with 14,000 subscribers. Here's what's crazy. Almost every video she does, she's sitting in her car. That's all. They're 4-minute videos. She's sitting in her car and she's got 15,000 people looking at those. So here's some recommendations about YouTube. First of all, if you're not doing video, you are missing out. I've been screaming that from the rooftops for years, and here we are. Video is king. Create video content. Behind the scenes as an agent, maintenance Mondays, forward Fridays, do home tours, market updates, home improvements, the net return. I mean, there's a million different videos that you do. If you really think that you want to do a YouTube channel, I'm happy to sit down and kind of do some planning sessions with you, because it's really important that you build out content. And I have some tips and tricks, because if you think you're going to do a video a week, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. The reality is life will get in the way, so you have to build time to do multiple pieces of content at one time. I'm going to talk about Vimeo for just a second. They came out as competition to YouTube. It was really meant to be more for business-oriented videos. They have 715 million monthly users, which is quite a bit less than YouTube, and quite honestly, they're not growing, but I want you to know they're out there. So before we go to what I call the buttons, are there any questions? Any questions? Okay, I'm going to assume no questions. So why do I call it the buttons? When you are reading a news article or you're on a blog post, what you'll see oftentimes is that there's these buttons either above it, next to it, underneath it, so that when you click on the button, it will then share that content out to that site. So we're going to talk, these are the most commonly used. First, Google Plus. It is no more. Last year, Google Plus decided they couldn't compete in this market, so they just pulled out. But when I first started here at Real Estate Center, I was encouraging you to post on Google Plus if you were posting on Facebook, but they are gone. So that is showing you the leadership of a company saying, hey, this is an area we should be putting more money into to compete, because we can't. So Google Plus is gone. Pinterest, we will talk about really quick. So really 335 million users. Millennials use Pinterest as much as Instagram. That's a big deal. I know that my millennial does go to Pinterest for recipes and things like that. So they are pretty active. What is I lost my cheat sheet. No. What is the top thing that is pinned on Pinterest? Stephanie says food, Mateus says home decor, Shayna food, Stephanie baths. Anybody else? Maureen, do-it-yourself projects, DIYs. The top pin is recipes. So if you said food, I guess you win there. Recipes, what's the average time somebody spends on Pinterest? Any guesses?
5 minutes.
That's a good guess. 5 minutes. Stephanie said 1 hour. Yeah, Shayna, a day. How long would somebody, when they're on there, spend? Just for a matter of time, I'll go ahead and push forward. 14 minutes is the average time when you log into Pinterest that typically people stay on the platform. I tend to be like Sarah. I look for something specific, find it, and I'm out. So that's typically what I do. But apparently people spend a little more time than that. Here are some examples of some real estate boards. On the left-hand side, you're going to see these are kind of ones about houses specifically, or neighborhoods. So those are some ideas. On the right-hand side is more of a DIY kind of stuff that you could be posting as a real estate agent. I used to suggest, hey, you can set up a business account. I don't suggest that anymore. And this is a personal opinion. People want to know who you are as a person. So they want to see everything that you're offering, not just the real estate side. So I tend to just have one universal account and stop complicating your life having multiple accounts that you have to manage. It's just too much. Just be yourself and have a real estate board, have your listings and things like that. So you can create your business account if you are going to advertise on the platform. Something else about Pinterest, their advertising portion is very inexpensive. I mean, like dirt cheap. However, I personally have noticed that my advertisement in my Pinterest feed is gaining like crazy. So I think a lot of people are utilizing the fact that they're pretty expensive. I would start boards and I'd pin like crazy. If you've never used Pinterest before, I'd get on there and I'd spend way more than 14 minutes. I'd spend a couple hours just starting to build your boards up. Create a homes for sale board. You could share your listings. You can share listings from our firms. And then again, you can consider running ads. Again, I can send this to all of you if you want it. Pinterest froze my account when I was posting Paradigm posts, so I stopped. Yeah, interesting, Kelly. So what I would say is that they do not want it being driven to outside content, so you could still share your image and the information, but you can't put on your Paradigm tours. So great feedback, though. Yeah, attract. You can. These are some suggestions just for content for attracting home sellers or buyers. And then some other board ideas for all of you, things that make you laugh, getting to know you, dream vacation, things like that. All right, LinkedIn. Hopefully you all know this platform. 675 million registered users. This is growing really, really fast. 2 new posts or users per second. It is literally so much different than when I first did this class. 40% of monthly active users go on to LinkedIn daily. I'm one of those people. I am on LinkedIn maybe twice, sometimes 3 times a day. This is not a platform that prefers video, whereas other platforms, obviously TikTok, but Instagram, Facebook really prefers video. 41% of millionaires are on LinkedIn. That's got to tell you something. Here's an example. Look, there's our Maureen. This is an example of what the feed looks like. So it looks very similar to a feed on Facebook. But what I love about it is that you can actually see how many views it got, not just how many likes or comments received. So my little post on the right-hand side, although it didn't get a lot of love, it had 576 views. And by the way, take that advice in these days and run with it. Sometimes you have to unplug too. Okay. So LinkedIn wins the award for being the most incorrectly used. And the reason why I say that is because it is a business platform, not a marketing and sales platform. The best thing that you can do on LinkedIn is to make sure that you're sharing information about the market, you're being educational, engaging, you're not just spamming people to buy my listing, do you want to buy, do you want to sell? That is not what gets responses on LinkedIn. My question about LinkedIn is, what is the most overused word in LinkedIn? Any guesses? Overused word. What word is overused on LinkedIn? Contact me. Check. Job. The most overused word is specialist. Everybody thinks they're specialist, right? So here's some of my recommendations for LinkedIn. Create and update your personal account. Your picture needs to be current. Make sure that you are writing an about me. That you should also be writing recommendations to people. So you can request recommendations from your vendors or past clients. But you can also, Stephanie, you're so funny, I just read that. You can also write recommendations to title, escrow, lenders, inspectors, cleaners, contractors, people you've done business with in the past. And these are really, really appreciated. Typically, when you write a recommendation, people will tend to then want to write one back for you. There is an option to create a showcase page where you can share your listings or highlight specific communities. And then there's now the ability to join groups. Those groups are really educational and they've done a really good job. So they actually have groups in there that are about social media marketing. So those are some tips. We're going to teach an entire class about LinkedIn here in a couple of weeks. So remember, just information today. All right, what's this one? Twitter. 330 million active users. 42% of those are on the platform every single day. The daily limit of tweets, I just learned this, is 2,400. I can't even fathom somebody doing 2,400 tweets in a day. I mean, that must be all they do. My question on this one is, who has the highest number of followers on Twitter? Any guesses? Obviously, it's somebody famous. Kanye, Selena Gomez, Trump. What'd you say, Sarah?
I said Trump.
Trump.
Maybe Justin Timberlake.
Kim Kardashian is one I got. It's actually President Obama has the highest number of followers on Twitter. This is what Twitter feed looks like. Again, very similar now. I mean, they used to not have photos, right? It used to be just text, and then they changed photos. So now the platform, to me, looks a lot like Facebook. The difference between Twitter and Facebook, in my opinion, is that Twitter moves really, really fast. So I want to be really honest about Twitter. If you have a following base, if you already are on a platform and you have a lot of followers, you should be utilizing Twitter. If you are new to Twitter, this is a hard place to gain traction right now. There are about 6,000 tweets per second. So getting traction in this platform when you don't have a big follower base can be very challenging. If you have a strong follower base, if you were an early adopter and you have those followers, you should be utilizing the platform. So this platform is really about engagement. Actually, all of them are. I'm all about engagement. You should really make sure that you're engaging, liking, commenting, sharing, replying, all of those kind of things, and make sure that your profile is current. I would really suggest that all of you have an Excel sheet with what your platform is, your username. Don't put your password because then that's not safe. But then make sure that anytime you have a change in your life, you did a new headshot, you go there and you make sure that you've updated all of those places. Anymore, this has become a checklist for our life of making sure things are current. All right, which one? Who's this one? Hopefully you all know this one. Instagram. There's a cheat right there. It says Insta. So it's referred to as Insta, IG, or Instagram. Give me 1 second, guys. Had to sneeze. Okay, Instagram. So Instagram is a social media app that was really about images. It's was competing with Facebook and Twitter, and Facebook came in and went, wow, you're awesome, and I don't want to compete with you, so now I'm owning you. So they do. Sarah, what is your definition of a strong following? When it comes to Twitter, thousands. I would say you should have 2,500 on Twitter in order to make traction at this point. Do I feel the same on all the other platforms? No. So if I don't answer that as we go on, then let me know. But Instagram, I think that a strong following still is in the high hundreds. I do not think I have a strong following. I'm in the 300s, I think. But I think that high hundreds is a good number on the Instagram. Okay, some stats about this. 1 billion active users on Instagram and growing. This platform is insanely growing. 89% of the top businesses indicate that Instagram is the most important social media channel for influential marketing. And Instagram users spend an average of 28 minutes a day. I would tend to disagree with that and think that people spend a little bit more than that, but that's okay. 63% of Americans use Instagram. If I have not made it clear that you should be on Instagram, I'm making it clear now. You need to be on Instagram. Okay, what's the most liked photo that Instagram has ever had? Anybody know?
Cats.
Cats?
Dogs.
Good guess. Dogs, good guess.
Thanks.
Shayna for the win. An egg. It had 54.2 million likes. Not even joking. I don't get it at all. How about this one? What food is photoed the most on Instagram? Bill, tacos.
Pies. Cake.
Kelly, cocktails. I like that one. Shayna, salads or smoothies. Matea, avocado toast. That's great. Avocado toast. That's a good one. It's actually pizza, which is so weird because I don't think pizza is the most attractive food to look at, but pizza is the number one thing that people take pictures of. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Instagram. I'm going to slow down and spend a little bit more time here. This image that's on the top of your screen is really outdated, but I'm going to show you a more current one in a minute. When Snapchat came out and they had their ability for an image to go, be there, and then disappear, Instagram went, well, wait a minute, we can compete with that. And they made what's called Instagram stories. And right away from their launch, you can see what happened. They overtook Snapchat very quickly. If you don't know what stories are, they will show up on the top bar of your mobile or on the right-hand side of your desktop. So you can actually look at your Instagram and engage on Instagram on your computer. You cannot post on it there. That's the difference. But you can do your engagement from your computer. So those stories would click on it within 24 hours of it being posted, it will be gone. So it's a one and done. But there is a way to keep your stories, and I teach that in the Instagram class. Here's the next one. I could not find one that goes into 19 and 20, but my assumption would be that we're probably still seeing this climb. So as we went on, Instagram stories continued to grow while Snapchat started to flatline. So here's a really old picture of this, Sarah, I think was your listing. An old picture of our Instagram. What we were really going for was consistency. This is our newer version of our Instagram. We still really look for the same color palette, things like that. You can see other brands doing the same exact thing. This is the Bruce's Instagram. You get the same feel and cohesiveness. So it doesn't mean that you have to do that, but a lot of brands do follow that rule that they try to have that same color palette or some continuity within their Instagram platform. As a real estate agent, and I teach this in the Instagram class, I think it's really important to have a solid mix of who you are as a person and some real estate related stuff. So here are some hashtags. If you don't know what hashtags are, that just confirms that you should probably be coming to my Instagram class. That's all I can tell you. Quick, when you hashtag something, you can then look that hashtag up. When I look up hashtag real estate, here are some of the top posts that come up. So obviously these are ones that people are seeing in millions. It's really important that you use hashtags, and we talk about that in the Instagram class. These are very generic use of hashtags. You can get really specific, like hashtag Linwood Washington, hashtag shoreline listing. You can get pretty specific, and then you can do something really cool, and that is create your own hashtag. And every time you post something real estate related, use that hashtag. Here's an example. Bill's on call, hashtag Jordan RE Group. Every time he posts an image or something about real estate, he uses that, and then all of those posts are in one spot that he can find and or his consumers can find. Townsend Group Real Estate does the same thing. Bill and Angelica, you can also see some consistency amongst what they were doing with color palette and things like that. The other thing I want to talk about really briefly on Instagram is business versus personal use. If you have a business account, you can get all kinds of free data analytics that show you how many people you're reaching, how many impressions you're getting, what time of day people are discovering you, all kinds of information that you wouldn't otherwise get. The only difference to the naked eye with a business account versus a personal account is that right underneath your name, you have to claim what your business is. So for me, it's real estate services. For you, it could be real estate broker, real estate professional, real estate admin, I don't know, whatever you want. But you get to get all kinds of data points then. And I go over that in the Instagram class as well. Instagram TV was created to give people a platform. Really, it was created to compete with YouTube, but it was created to give people a platform that goes beyond the 60 seconds that you are allowed to use for video on Instagram. And so now you can do a full hour, and it is like having a YouTube channel. A lot of top YouTubers also have an Instagram TV channel. And if you had a real estate YouTube channel, you could potentially create an Instagram TV channel too. And I think you would be probably one of the early adopters of doing that. So here's some recommendations. If you don't have an account, create an account. I highly recommend it be a business account. follow others, engage. There's no point in you having the platforms at all if you're not engaging with others. You cannot expect people to engage with you if you are not engaging with them. You should be authentic. All Instagram ads are managed through Facebook, and hashtags are king. That is how new followers will find you. So it's really important that you're using them. Woo! All right, how's everybody doing? It's 11 o'clock. I said I'd done 11:30. Let's see if I can, we're going close, getting close, okay. Maureen says, if I already have a personal IG account, should you make a separate business one? You can change your personal one right to a business one without having to lose anything you've done. And I highly recommend that you not. It's up to you. I guess it depends on what you're sharing on your personal IG, if you want to create a separate business one or not. I think that becomes a lot to manage, 2 accounts, but you can just create it into a business account from what it is in the settings button. Okay, so we're gonna move to TikTok. How many of you know, well, Shane Matei I know, but how many of you know what TikTok is? Just give me a yes or no. Kelly, kinda. Stephanie, kinda. Bill, you have to be public and not private to do the business one. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, if you're on Instagram and you have a private account, you have to be public to have a business account. So that would be a difference too. So if you're private, because you're posting a lot of personal stuff about your kids or something, you gotta think about that. Gary, yep, girls love it. Yes, they do love it. The kids love the TikTok. Shana loves her TikTok. Okay, so let's talk about TikTok. TikTok is an app for making and sharing short videos. It's 100% video based. It is not, there's no image or just text option. The videos are all tall. They're not square like the Snapchat or Instagram stories. And you can navigate them through pretty quickly by scrolling up and down like a newsfeed. There are 800 million monthly active users. Most app installed in Q1 of 2019 when it was launched. 69% of the users are between the ages of 16 and 24 years old. Why then would we talk about it with real estate? Well, because at 24 years old, you might start thinking about buying a house. Users spend 46 minutes per day on the app, and I actually think that that's probably higher than that. But so let's take a look at TikTok really quick. And real estate, that's what I want to do. Shane says they spend way more than 46 minutes, and I believe that to be true too. I know that my youngest does. So I'm going to hop on to TikTok with the hashtag real estate, and I'm going to show you a couple of different real estate related videos that actually make sense. I really hope you can hear my audio. Stephanie, let me know if you can hear it.
There's a strategy called the BRRRR strategy. P stands for buy a property for $50,000. The R stands for rehab. So let's assume the rehab is about $20,000. So now I'm all in for a total of $70,000.
I hear that the audio is pretty choppy. All this guy is doing is talking about how to invest in properties. Here's another one. This guy has actually sold 5 houses because of TikTok.
Probably saying Santa Claus are expensive.
His video is showing up on my end.
Several other people were able to buy their first home before the age of 25. How you may ask? By the point of the video. First, stop worrying about your student debt.
So that guy actually sold multiple houses by using this platform. This one I love. This guy, they came up on him and he had painted the wrong house. Oh my God, I can't imagine. And there's also some that are just like tours of homes, right? Typically, there's audio on here or there's some kind of music. Music-Fi. Music. Can you hear that? Anyway, $22 million listing. So you can see how it's used for real estate. I can tell you that our own Shana follows some people who are using it for real estate. Here's the other thing that I really want to put out there. being a first adopter to sites like this is so important. It's kind of like the Twitter philosophy. It's very hard to get traction once massive amounts of people are on it. So if you can start to gain followers in the beginning, it actually makes a world of difference in the long term. So I wanted to also show you on top apps that TikTok is the number 6 app that's downloaded right now. So TikTok is growing substantially. That's really all I've got for TikTok right now. I am going to work on putting together a TikTok class. I will tell you that I have an Asian friend who used TikTok the very first time while we were at 121 in LA, which was just in February. And he had thousands of views on his first few TikTok videos, and he was doing the dumbest things. Like, he went down the escalator and just put his hand out where there was a mesh screen and just filmed it, and he had like 2,500 views in 24 hours. Just crazy. So there's definitely a platform there to get involved in, and we will come back to teaching more about that. Now we'll go to Facebook. Before I go to Facebook, any questions? Doing okay? I hope the audio is not too bad. Sorry, guys. Okay, Facebook. 2.5 billion daily active users. The last stat I could find was from September of 2019, probably because they can't count any higher. 2.5 billion daily active users. 69% of US adults are on the platform. 74% of people visit their sites daily. This matters to real estate. Why? It matters because this is a really great platform to get your information out there, and you should be using it. This is a really quick average click-through rate. I originally found this a couple years ago, and I found an updated version. And what's awesome is we haven't lost any traction. So what this is showing you is when you are doing some kind of advertising, what the click-through rate is. The average in all industries is 0.90, so a little bit less than 1%. But real estate's over here in the blue, and they're a little bit higher than average, and way better than things like employment and job training or education. So when Facebook, when Facebook purchased Instagram and they launched Stories, then Facebook quickly adopted Stories on their platform as well. And so when you're on your feed, you will see a list of stories on the top, similar to how Instagram does it, except you get a larger preview of it. And I just kind of wanted to show you adoption again on this. So here's Snapchat in the yellow, and we're looking at Facebook in the blue, and Instagram in the purple, and then WhatsApp, which if you don't know what that is, it's a free texting app. You can, their Stories is also way up here. It's more an international, used on international level versus a US level, but all 3 of these platforms are just killing it in comparison to Snapchat. So I wanted to talk about Facebook video stats separately because they have some really informative information that you should know about video and how Facebook likes video. They want to own the video. What that means is they don't like it when you take a YouTube link and put it into their platform. They will give that the same amount of attention they would anything else. But if you upload an original video into Facebook, they will treat that as if it's unique content to Facebook, and they will be more strategic about how they place that video, and you will have more people seeing that video than you would any other way. Facebook algorithm ranks video higher than any other content. It's they really, really want video content. 85% of people who view videos don't do it with sound. So that should tell you that you need to be putting captions in your videos. That can be a huge burden. In my class, I talk about how Facebook tried to make it easier, and I also talk about very, very expensive and quick ways to do that if this is a platform that you're going to utilize more. The other thing I'll say is you can take that video to Facebook and put it on Facebook and then upload it into YouTube and still have it the same exact video on YouTube. You're just not sharing a link from one to the other. So there's ways to do that. I left the bold line there. By 2020, over 75% of the world's mobile traffic will be by video. I've been saying that since 2018, and now we know that that is true. And I think that the coronavirus has only helped that. I think that that statistic is closer to 83% of people watch or mobile traffic is from video. So it gets the highest engagement rate. It is really, really important to do. We're also going to be doing a video 101 class. So I'm telling you, there's going to be all kinds of content coming out in the next couple weeks that are going to help you. Here's some social samples. These ones are all outdated. They were from the summer, but I don't care. They're still great samples of what some agents are doing. So you can see here on the far left upper corner, Charles, he does a lot of posting in different retail shops and showing off small businesses. I think that's an amazing thing to be doing as a real estate agent. In the middle there, John was sharing one of our listings, not even his own listing, just sharing it, but driving traffic back to his site. Sarah, this is what I call a bait posting, meaning what you're trying to do is get some engagement. Would people like a fixer-upper or brand new? You're trying to get them to engage with you. Down left-hand corner, Townsend Group, sharing open houses, Bill in the middle, down payment resources, and one of mine down on the bottom there was about local farmers market. When you looked on that, it listed out all the farmers markets in Sonoma County and their times that they are open. Another really great, this is old, but Bill Townsend, if you're not following him, he does some really cool social media stuff, really good educational material. And what I really like about this is that he's using InfoSparks. InfoSparks has an ability to share something right out, and it can be either static, meaning however you built it, or it can be updated live. So when somebody clicks on that, if the statistics changed, it will change along with it. Some recommendations. If you're using a business page, make sure that you have a current photo and that your About Me section is current. Share from your business page to your personal page. Not everyone is seeing your business page. Facebook changed their algorithms substantially for business pages. It is much harder for business pages to get engagement. So only people that are seeing your business postings are the people that are most engaged with you, which is totally asinine. That's not why you have a business page. It's to try to get more exposure, not to have the same 10 people liking your stuff. So if you're gonna do a business page, I recommend that you share over to your personal page so that you're getting more engagement. Mix up your content. You should be doing community things. You should be doing activities, real estate, and then who you are as a person. So Nick, if you're out there doing Ultimate Frisbee, you should be posting about that. Engagement matters. It's a two-way street. You cannot expect that people are going to engage with you if you're not engaging with them. Start adding video. And ask past clients for Facebook reviews. I wanted to show you this really quick. Facebook is still the #1 platform, by far, #1 platform. YouTube right underneath them. Facebook Messenger is considered their own platform because it has a separate app, or you can use it within the platform itself. Instagram coming right underneath that, and then TikTok. Look at that, just coming in right underneath those. Down there at the bottom, Snapchat, Twitter, and Pinterest. So those are the ones that we've just covered. So I want to give you some top takeaways. I do have some bonus content depending on how fast I get through this, but some top takeaways. Make Google happy. Create your Google My Business. That's going to be the first class that we offer. It will be next week. Build your SEOs. You need to be active on all of your major social media sites. And on your Zap site, you need to be doing stuff to keep activity from there. Use the 10-5-1 rule on all of your sites, not just on Facebook. So 10-5-1 rule is 10 likes, 5 comments, 1 personal message. Or in some platforms, it's called the DM, direct message. So 10 likes, 5 comments, 1 direct message every single day on every single platform that you're active on. This could take an hour of your day. It might take an hour and a half of your day, depending on what you're doing. But my recommendation is after you get your morning started, you have not checked your email, you've not checked social media, you've written down your affirmations and goals for the day, and you're killing it with your database. When you're done with that, you take a break, come back, and you spend an hour on all of your social media platforms and make sure that you check off your 10-5-1 rule. Commit to learning a new platform in 2020. What I mean is if you've been on Facebook, but you've not been on Instagram, maybe this is the year that you adopt Instagram into your social platforms. I do not expect or think that you should take them all on. It's too much and you will get too overwhelmed and then it's easy to just walk away from it. But commit to one of them. Let's say that you have Facebook and Instagram, but you're really not engaged in Instagram. Commit to getting engaged. If you're on Facebook and Instagram, but you really don't do anything on LinkedIn, this is the year to build one more platform in. And then video. Couple more tips. Don't try to eat the elephant all at once. It is not one meal. You can't do it. Don't become white noise. So I just want to stand on a soapbox for a minute about this one. When you let someone else do social media posting for you, an outside source, and they're also doing social media posting for everyone else, you become white noise. People learn to scroll right past you because they know that you're not posting authentic information. And I know that's frustrating for people. And I know that it sounds tempting to just pay somebody $20 a month to post for you. But the reality is you're training consumers to ignore you when you do that. So it's really important that you build time in, especially now. I don't think that we're ever going to go back to normal. We are going to have to use social media as part of our marketing strategy, and people want to know you, not the white noise that you're creating. Watch YouTube. There is so many good ideas on YouTube. Follow other brokers to get content ideas. Use keywords and hashtags. And this one's really big. It's about you, but it's not about you. Get over yourself being worried about video. The reality is everyone knows what you look like. You're not hiding anything, so get over it. Not all sites are created equal. Know who your market is and know the platform. Do not use the same content on all sites. That's another big one. So I don't need to follow you on Instagram and on Facebook if you're going to post the same thing in both places every single day. I don't need to follow you in both places. Why would I? And create a plan. What does that look like? I'm going to actually show you, but here's some ideas of things that you could be doing. You could be talking about specific areas and neighborhoods. You could feature small businesses, talk about events, listings, opens, markets, inspection, house hunting, being at the closing table, your people holding a sold sign, you delivering pop-by gifts, call to action questions, trying to get people engaged, obviously posting on holidays, post some quotes and motivational stuff, do some DIY. Here's an example of what I would be doing. On the last week of the month, I would pull a blank calendar and I would create my social content for the entire month. I would know what I'm posting when, so that I'm not like, oh shoot, I haven't posted on Facebook in like 3 days. Instead, what I know is, hey, here's my Facebook calendar, here's my Instagram calendar, and I'm going to teach you in classes in the future services that you can actually schedule those postings with. So you can do that through your Facebook business page, but you can't do it on your personal page. You can't do it through Instagram as of right now. So there's some platforms out there that will help you. So you could build a whole month of content and then push it out in one day, okay? Last piece of advice is this is a community and it's social. And so when you go to a party, you don't stand in the corner. That's not what a social party is. So you have to engage. Stop just being a drive-by person that just puts out content and doesn't engage with people. You have to engage with people. So that's the 10-5-1 rule that I just gave you, right? So that's what you're going to do there. And then I want to talk really quickly about the future. The future hasn't changed a whole lot, right? People are starting to see ads follow them. They're more and more specific to the type of person they are. And that was really creepy in the beginning. But people are getting more used to that and actually finding value in it. So we're seeing like Facebook advertisements are starting to capture people more than they used to capture people because they're starting to learn habits. Facebook is using a lot of AI behind the scenes to know how to advertise to people more and more. Virtual reality is going to be more and more part of everybody's life. So we need to kind of be aware that AI and virtual reality are coming. And then also certain social interactions are just changing really fast and we have to be able to adapt to them. Here's a list of upcoming training. So I've got Google My Business, LinkedIn, Instagram 101, which is for non-users, 201 for users. Facebook 101, not really using the platform, maybe you have one but you don't know anything about it, 201 is more advanced. And then we're going to do a video 101, and I'm working on TikTok, but I got to be honest, I've only been on TikTok like 8 times, and every time I left there offended by something, so I have to get over that a little bit. And then before I offer bonus content, I just want to say, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. The very worst thing you can do is nothing at all. Okay? So unmute yourselves and give me some feedback, and then let's talk about if any of you want some additional information. Go ahead and unmute. I've talked a long time.
No,
Okay, I
good.
have a
Thank
very first question. Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
go for it. Stephanie, you want to go?
Stephanie.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of it's about Instagram. So
Yeah.
if you're on an Instagram post and it says link in bio, so you click on the picture and you like the picture and you want to hear the story or read the story, it says link in bio. How do I get to the link in bio? I've been hitting buttons and I don't know what I'm doing, and I think I've shared stuff that I don't realize I'm sharing. I'm unfollowing.
Okay. So if you're talking about, like, you see this is just someone I follow on Instagram. If you see, like, in the caption it says link in bio.
Yeah. How do I get to that link in bio?
So here's this picture. It's just some girl I used to go to school with. You click her, like, profile, and then you're at her profile, and her bio is right here. So that's where you'll find the link.
Oh, that's the dumb. Okay. I
Good job,
told you.
Shana. Shana and Matea are going to be teaching these classes soon, and I can't wait. Okay, what
Yeah.
else?
So Teresa,
Yeah.
so you're saying don't duplicate your post, but like that newsletter I do, I put that on LinkedIn and I put it on Facebook. Should I not be doing that?
So yeah, that's a great question. LinkedIn's a little bit different than Facebook, and you probably have a very different sphere of influence on those two platforms. So for me, I have like thousands of followers on LinkedIn, thousands. So I would post the same thing when it comes to something like a newsletter on both, because I know I have a different reach on those two. But our followers on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter tend to be somewhat of the same sphere, so we don't want to drown them with the same content. So when you adopt Instagram, I wouldn't put your newsletter on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
But just the
question.
two. Choose fine.
Just the two. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions?
No, but I
Comments?
shout out to Sarah. I like Sarah's Instagram. I
Yeah.
like how she will post pictures about the flowers and then about the houses, and the fact that when she asks questions, I always try to answer. She's like, do you want a water view or a mountain view? I like Sarah's Instagram.
Yeah, Sarah does a really good job. So Sarah, you could be actually teaching how to get content out, because you do a very good job with your social.
You can
Well,
tell.
I
it
was
from-
asking you about numbers because I was curious. I follow probably 2 times as many people as who follow me. You know, so I'm always
Yeah.
trying to learn from people on Instagram.
So here's an interesting, this comes from me having younger ones. Matea and Shana will probably be able to comment on this. There was a rule of thumb. I find it hard to use, that you should not be following more people than are following you. And they both laugh because they've heard this, right? The reality though is, in order to gain some followers, sometimes you have to do that back and forth. Remind me, are you using hashtags pretty consistently, Sarah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shana and
I
Matea, do you
try
have?
not-
Go ahead.
I was
Sorry.
going to say, I try not to use hashtags that have, I mean, I might use some, but for the entire post, I try not to use hashtags that have millions of posts.
Yeah.
I tried to look for least amount of posts.
So there's good and bad in that. The good is that you're going to probably target more localized followers. The bad is that you're going to get more views potentially on the bigger posts that millions of people are looking at. So there's some pros and cons. And with real estate, we always want to be a little bit more localized in what we're doing. But the reality is we also want to have a very big follow base, because that will get us more exposure. So there's a little bit of balance there. I think you can have 31 hashtags in a post. I would suggest that 10 of those be the big players, real estate, blah, blah, blah. And then the rest of them be a little bit more localized.
Right.
Also, with the Instagram hashtags, I've noticed before that if you put I think Matea and I came across this once, but if you put too many hashtags and then you post, it'll let you post, but it won't put any hashtags, and then you have to start all over in that.
So in the Instagram class, I will give you some tips on how to do hashtags so that it's quick and easy and you're not spending 15 minutes trying to do hashtags. I've got some cheats for that. Yeah. So I do have some bonus information. If you guys want to give me a thumbs up if you want to stick around for that. If you can't stick around, I said I'd be done at 11:30. It's 11:21. I can probably get through this in 10 or 15 minutes at the most. It's really to help you with sharing other content. So I'm going to go. I've got you all big so I could see you. I'm going to make you all small again, and I'm going to just keep going. If you have to jump off, I'm totally not offended. Okay, so what I want to talk about are these 4 platforms really quick: Homify, Meetup, Nextdoor, and House. Nextdoor, if you are not a part of Nextdoor, you definitely should be. I think it's more important now with the COVID than ever before. I think people are starting to realize the value of neighbors, which is something that has actually broken my heart so many times. I love that feeling of neighbors knowing neighbors, and it just doesn't feel like that's how America is most of the time anymore, but Nextdoor is bringing that to virtual reality. So what it is very hyper localized areas so that you're having communication with those specific areas. There are 236,000 active neighborhoods. I personally think that neighborhoods are pretty big. I wish they'd kind of scale them down a little bit. And some neighborhoods have gotten to know each other enough that they have their own Facebook groups, which I think is really cool too. But if you've not been on there, you'll get a daily email that tells you about the most common posts or the most posts for the day and some replies that have come in. But you can advertise on here and you can also search for real estate. So if you didn't know that, if you click the left-hand side, it will pull up all of the listings in the area, and then you can actually sponsor a neighborhood. At one point, this girl down below here from Remax was sponsoring mine. She's no longer my sponsor in my area. They're pretty expensive. I think something about $100 a month. I have an agent who's down in the Tacoma area who is doing this, and she actually gets pretty consistent leads from her neighborhood, or at least people who are interested in knowing the value that she's able to then drip on. So I think this is a great platform for that. So register yourself and update your portfolio. Make sure your contact information is current. Engage with your neighbors and get to know them. This is a great time to offer services to people. It's a great time to be a resource. You can even just, does anybody need groceries? Has anybody been stuck inside? You can create a business page, that's the link to it, and potentially a sponsorship. So yeah, between $50 and $100 a month, you can sponsor a neighborhood. Homify. Homify is a website where you can get inspiration for remodeling and things like that. They have 11 million followers on Facebook and a smaller but pretty good substantial size on Instagram of 272,000 followers. They have a professional real estate agent site so people can actually find you. So you can find all kinds of things on this site, but you should go and register on their site so that if people ever did look for a real estate agent in their area, they would find you. The other thing that you can do is follow them on Facebook, and then you can share their posts. So what's cool about that is it just gives you something that you can have content on. That's probably the biggest complaint that I get from agents is like, I don't know what to put and blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't just share their stuff. You got to mix this up a little bit, but sometimes they have some cool articles that are worth sharing. House. Same kind of a platform. They have different ideas for furniture or remodeling, but then they also have a Find Professionals section. They have 2.8 million followers on Facebook and 500,000 on Instagram. They have a real estate section as well. So you can go in here and for a professional, get your own professional portfolio. And that way, if somebody looked up agents in Mukilteo, they just might find you. You can also follow them on Facebook and share their content. So they often will put out some cool stuff as well. And then the last one is not really a social, this is interesting because it's shifted to a virtual social situation, and it's called Meetup. Meetup has 8 million members, and what they do is you find people who are like-minded in all these different areas, and then they actually used to do live meetups. So under health and wellness, they might like have a meetup doing ultimate frisbee or ultimate frisbee, or under food and drink they might like go to different restaurants and just have appetizers as a group. There's all kinds of different things. What's really interesting is they've very effectively adopted virtual, and so a lot of these people are getting together now on a virtual platform, and it's just, I know we all have a lot to do, but it is a way of growing your sphere of influence, so, and especially in a like-minded area. So this is a great way to get involved with some groups and find like-minded people. And that is all I have for you. I guess I did it by 11:30.